Oprah's story is popular because it inspires people. She is a billionaire who started poor, black, and abused. She has donated millions of dollars to education and charities, built a school in South Africa, helped with COVID-19 relief efforts, opened book clubs, and so much more. She's an excellent businesswoman and philanthropist. An example of how to build a brand that appeals to almost every demographic. People look up to her. They want to be just like her. But what if we told you it is all an act? Oprah is an excellent speaker and a great actress. She has become this socioeconomic icon that breathes life into the concept of the American dream. Over the years, she has worked so hard to build an empathic public persona, and it works. She never takes risks or rubs people the wrong way. Every move is calculated. But when you sit on the throne for too long, some secrets are going to get exposed, whether you like it or not. We are starting this list with number 1, Maui fund scandal. People were furious when Oprah and The Rock asked for donations for the wildfires in Maui, and they had a right to be.
Every person who called me and said, what can I do? This is what you can do. The People's Fund of Maui.
When you live paycheck to paycheck, the last thing you want to hear is a rich person asking you to donate money. With all the connections they have, they couldn't come up with a couple of $1 million?
Why don't you just call up your good buddy Biden? He sent billions, hundreds of billions to Ukraine.
But there is a bunch of stuff to unravel here. The Rock and Oprah announced that they had used $5 million to establish the People's Fund of Maui. This move enraged the public since it appeared to contradict Oprah's previous statement that $10 million would be donated to the victims. Oprah tried to explain the whole thing. She stated, "The infrastructure is in place for your donations to help people be able to have their own money, have their own agency." But people were shocked when they realized that just half of what was promised was directly given to the victims of Maui. It turns out that this was just a starting capital for their project. The system would then work perfectly to keep receiving additional donations. This is a classic example of how to open a new company. Then another scandal came to the surface. For starters, there were some pretty good concerns about the nonprofit they were using. The fund is managed by the Entertainment Industry Foundation, or EIF for short. This particular nonprofit had a list of where all the funding would go. The thing is, all the top employees and executives have very high salaries. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. The president makes over $480,000 a year. The CEO more than $350,000 a year. The CFO makes more than $290,000 a year. But in reality, this charity only gives about 10% of what it makes to the actual victims. The rest of it goes to nonprofits. On their website, the EIF said they provided a monthly reimbursement of $1,200 to 8,100 adults. But this is not a lot of money for someone who lives in Hawaii. Look at it this way. As of January 2024, the minimum wage in this region is $14 per hour. If you're working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you would earn about $2,240. In the way this charity is set up, people are getting very little, if anything at all. Every charity doesn't need to give all its money to victims. Legally, it can do with it as it pleases. So that means they can go out and buy a brand new car or invest in something else. But could this be just another distraction because there's something more sinister going on behind closed doors? The mainstream media doesn't share the truth about what is happening to the people in Maui. Many residents are terrified because they feel this is a land grab by the government. Rich people are only showing up to buy their land at a cheap price and take their property. These people are being pushed aside, and there's nothing they can do about it.
No. If I have to go pitch a tent on the ashes, that's what I'm gonna have to do.
Just days after her home was destroyed in the Maui wildfire, Lahaina resident Deborah Loeffler has been inundated with emails from firms purportedly offering cash for her beachfront property.
Well, this program is not the only thing Oprah has funded that turned out to be a questionable problem. A Hollywood entertainment lawyer dropped a bombshell when they revealed that. Number 2, Oprah Winfrey and Harvey Weinstein funded Leaving Neverland. This shocking documentary sank Michael Jackson's career overnight. It became so controversial, so mind-blowing, that it divided fans all around the world. But according to a lawyer who goes by the name Inti, Michael Jackson was in fact one of the celebrities that Weinstein tried to bury in order to deflect from his scandals. So he would often pay gossip mongers to create and spread fake stories. Apparently, Oprah was in on it too. She was spotted watching Leaving Neverland on her birthday on David Geffen's yacht. Geffen is another Hollywood mogul who was rumored to be a pedophile and involved in sex scandals. Back in the 80s, Geffen and Jackson used to be friends. But once Jackson got to know him better, he hated him. Jackson reportedly said that Geffen was part of the Hollywood gay mafia who conspired against him. And this is when things get interesting. When Leaving Neverland hit the headlines, Oprah acted as if she was the one who had to step in and save the world from Michael Jackson. So she used her platform to push a one-sided agenda. What she did left a lot of people speechless. She arranged an interview with two alleged survivors who published their statements in the documentary, James Safechuck and Wade Robeson.
But for me, this moment transcends Michael Jackson. It is much bigger than any one person. This is a moment in time that allows us to see this societal corruption. It's like a scourge on humanity.
Just like that, as if the entire thing was prearranged. However, during the actual trial, Safechuck and Robeson testified in court under oath that Jackson never abused them. Jackson was acquitted of all charges. So not only did these people do a complete 180 on the testimonies they gave, but the undercover attorney revealed that the documentary itself was funded by none other than David Geffen, Oprah, Harvey Weinstein, Gayle King, and the founder of TMZ, Harvey Levin. In reality, Oprah did Weinstein a favor. In return, she got the Apple TV multi-year content deal. The partnership only made her stronger. It was a slap in the face for Jackson's family and all of his fans. Oprah could have used her platform to go after actual Hollywood rapists and serious sexual predators the same way she attacked Michael. But if she did that, she would be digging her own grave. So it was much easier to expose a dead man than to take down an entire Hollywood hornet's nest. Well, there's another dark secret that was exposed. Number 3, Seal accused Oprah of being complicit about Weinstein's misconduct. Remember that amazing speech Oprah gave at the Golden Globes?
That keeps us from turning a blind eye to corruption and to injustice. To tyrants and victims and secrets and lies.
Well, it turns out the cultural icon has an apparent history with one particular disgraced Hollywood mogul. Just a couple of days after Oprah publicly supported victims of the Me Too movement, especially those who came forward about Harvey Weinstein's sex crimes, Seal said something strange. He posted this meme on Instagram. Apparently, Seal wasn't moved by her speech. His post quickly went viral. He added, "I forgot. That's right. You'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially assaulting young starry-eyed actresses. My bad." Weinstein was found guilty of multiple accounts of sexual assault and rape. The case of this former movie magnate sparked public outrage and a lot of protests. He faces up to 24 years behind bars. Back in 2017, when the Weinstein allegations came to light, Oprah posted, "I have been processing the accounts of Harvey Weinstein's hideous behavior and haven't been able to find the words to articulate the magnitude of the situation." Seal saw Oprah's speech as hypocritical, and just as anyone would have predicted, it wasn't a smart thing to do. The 75th Golden Globe Awards was held on January 8th, 2018, but just a couple of days later, an actress accused Seal of trying to grope her back in 2016. Coincidence? Very unlikely. It sounds like Seal was silenced. He issued an apology and posted another video on Facebook trying to clear things up. He explained that he had a huge amount of respect for Oprah and everything she had achieved in her life. He added that the meme was not meant to attack Oprah at all. He stated, "She just happened to be the person photographed with the pig in the picture. No, what I reposted was commentary on the hypocritical and double standard nature and behavior of Hollywood." He showed his support for the Me Too movement. He said that victims deserve real justice and none of those who came forward have properly received it. He also said that Fox News used him as a political pawn and pinned him against Oprah. He wanted his name out of it. But the scandals don't end there. Number 4, John of God was once Oprah's spiritual healer. Today, he is one of the most notorious sexual predators in history. This is João Teixeira de Faria. a Brazilian faith healer that people know as John of God. For more than 40 years, this man has single-handedly attracted thousands of followers across the globe. Oprah helped promote him. Other celebrities also followed him, including Naomi Campbell and Bill Clinton. In an interview from 2010, Oprah called John of God inspiring. He was hailed as a miracle worker, someone who could channel the spirits of doctors and saints and perform miraculous surgeries with scissors and even his bare hands. But behind this facade, he was a monster who preyed on vulnerable girls and women. But that's not all. This man was trafficking babies. He sold newborns to the highest bidder, often for a staggering $50,000. His victims also gave birth to many of his children. Unfortunately, they too were abused over the years. The one who had the guts to expose this man for who he was is Zahira Leonique Mos, a Dutch choreographer. She appeared on a Brazilian TV show in 2018 and accused John of raping her during one of their healing sessions. Thanks to her help, hundreds of other victims came forward. This quickly spiraled out of control, and authorities found incriminating evidence that put this monster behind bars. He didn't care whose life he was going to destroy. His victims were as young as 9 years old and even in their late 60s. He was sentenced to over 370 years in prison. He is also facing other charges of tax evasion, money laundering, homicide, and illegal possession of firearms. Celebrities like Oprah catapulted this man into stardom. They gave him exposure and credibility, attracting more and more people to his cult. The more interviews he had, the easier it was to build and maintain a positive public image. People saw him as a compassionate and humble man who would do anything to help those in need. Oprah stated that she felt an overwhelming sense of peace in his presence. She also covered his story in her magazine and website. Yet, when the allegations came to the surface, she took down every single interview and article she wrote about him. But it was already too late. The world knew too much. Well, John of God was not the only one who was promoted by the news mogul. Number 5. Oprah is responsible for launching the careers of questionable experts. The longest reigning queen of daytime television has promoted unsustainable fad diets, new age scams, and questionable experts for years. For starters, she said the book The Secret is going to change your life forever. So it quickly became a bestseller. But in reality, this book is written like some pseudoscientific prosperity gospel. It requires you to never consider negative consequences, never doubt yourself, and never indulge in negative thoughts. This is risky because at the end of the day, what this book is doing is teaching people how to create a delusionary positive way of thinking as a long-term coping strategy. Oprah created Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz. Oprah and Dr. Phil met back in 1996. At that time, she was on trial with the beef industry in Texas. Since she had to deal with cattlemen who stated she defamed the beef industry on air, she hired Dr. Phil to provide counsel and help her out a little bit. When she saw that Dr. Phil had the skills and capabilities of a life coach, she gave him a platform to become the TV star that he is today. The same thing happened with Dr. Oz. After a very publicized and successful heart surgery in 1996, Dr. Oz appeared on his first TV show that featured Oprah. The media mogul liked him so much that she invited him to become a regular medical expert on the show. He appeared over 60 times between 2004 and 2009. In 2009, Oprah agreed to produce a medical show with Dr. Oz as the host. It ran up until 2022. Even though both Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil have become a household name, they've been accused of undermining the scientific community many times. Dr. Oz, for example, has endorsed diet products that have never been approved by the FDA. The medical community has also accused him of peddling misinformation. It got to a point where fellow colleagues did everything they could to get him out of the way. Back in 2014, Dr. Oz worked as a professor at Columbia University. That's when a group of 10 doctors demanded that Dr. Oz be removed because of his alleged disdain for science and for evidence-based medicine. Here is another interesting scandal that went viral. Number 6. Oprah Winfrey and Mo'Nique feud. In 2010, Mo'Nique won the Best Supporting Actress Academy Award for her performance in Precious. Her career should have exploded after that, but thanks to Oprah, it went nowhere.
Now, back in 2015, Mo'Nique infamously claimed that Lee Daniels stopped her from getting roles due to the fact that she didn't want to promote the movie Precious for free.
Monique was blacklisted in the entertainment industry for almost a decade because of media moguls like Oprah. Monique said that Oprah backstabbed her when she had her brother Gerald appear on her show days after Monique received her big
I got
accomplishment.
labeled as difficult because I said one word, and that was no. Now, I said no to some very powerful people. What Tyler Perry showed me, Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey, and Lionsgate.
Oprah interviewed with Gerald Imes. Gerald did admit that he had sexually abused Monique, who was just 7 years old at the time. He was 13 and explained that he too suffered from a similar type of abuse. He was molested when he was a child. It's heartbreaking how Oprah decided to exploit people, even those closest to her. Just because Monique was becoming more popular, Oprah saw it fit to pry into their problems. Just imagine inviting your friend's brother on the show to make him look better. Oprah did inform Monique that her brother would appear on her show, but Monique had no idea that her parents would also be there. This blew her mind. She never would have approved if she had known. But if you try to search for any records of her parents being there, you will find out that they've literally been wiped from the internet. Monique did open up about it. She said that watching her family talk about the incidents on national television broke her heart. She knew that the reality was completely different from what was depicted on the screen. It was the complete opposite of what Oprah wanted you to see. This man is humiliating Monique in front of millions of viewers. If Oprah really wanted to fight and advocate for victims of sexual abuse, she wouldn't be out here creating a platform for predators like him without the consent of her friend. Then she is not doing this for the victims, she is doing it for clout. Monique said that she did reach out to Oprah, but all her efforts to communicate were a dead end. 3 years after the interview, Monique confronted Oprah at a party. The event was held in honor of her Academy Award nomination in 12 Years a Slave. She asked Oprah why she invited her parents on the show, even though she knew they were not even on speaking terms at the time. Oprah allegedly said, "I didn't know anything about that. If I had done anything to offend you, I apologize." But Monique was furious. She added, "You've been unfair. You've been unjust, and you've watched a black woman be thrown under the bus, and you said nothing." Here is another secret that you probably didn't know about, and that is, number 7, the free cars. This is the most iconic moment in daytime television history. No one has done anything like this before, and no one has done it since. Oprah hyped up the entire audience in a matter of seconds, and so a meme was born. But just like anything else you see on TV, there was a catch. It looked like the perfect publicity stunt at first. It certainly made the news everywhere. Then reality set in. Every member of the audience received a brand new Pontiac G6, which was worth $28,000. The giveaway was a promotion for Pontiac and overshadowed any other gift previously seen on TV. The audience lost it. They were crying tears of joy. Little did they know that they had to pay a gift tax of up to $7,000, which was something like 40% of the car's total value at the time. While GM covered the license fees, title, and state taxes for registration, there was still a taxable income. The guests could choose to pay the income taxes and keep the car, take the cash, or refuse the car. This backfired on Oprah big time. A lot of people were frustrated because they got a bill of a couple of $1,000s. Some members of the audience couldn't afford it. Obviously, the word free means something else to Oprah. There was also another problem. Not only did Oprah and her team have to deal with angry fans, but the audience also became more greedy. Because the car giveaway was so substantial, it became harder to produce more impactful shows. That's because everyone in the audience wanted stuff like the cars after that. It created this loop, this insatiable appetite for all the shows to come. Do you think the audience members should have been grateful and just taken the car or sold it? Did Oprah do the right thing? Well, here is another secret that is going to raise a couple of eyebrows. Apparently, number 8, Oprah's relationship with Graham is a smokescreen. According to Oprah Winfrey, Oprah's former stepmom, Oprah and Graham are not a real couple. In the 14 years she has spent time with Oprah, Barbara said she has never even seen them hold hands or kiss. They looked like nothing more than friends. Oprah and Stedman have been in a relationship for more than 30 years. Barbara said the two were fond of each other. She stated, "He was comfortable like an old shoe to her. They stayed in the same room when they were here, but he didn't live with her exactly. He traveled so much, he would fly here and there to her. He's at her beck and call." She also said something quite interesting. "I think in the beginning it was different. Vernon told me how one time he was driving and Oprah was taking Stedman to meet family in Mississippi. He said she was running her hands through his hair the whole trip, till he was so fed up he was ready to put her out of the car. Even though a lot of people wanted to see the couple get married, Barbara said it most likely is never going to happen. She added, Oprah wanted to get married at first, but he wasn't so keen. Then she became this powerful person and things changed. The balance switched. Why would they marry now? He's there at her beck and call. He knows his role in her life. Rumor has it that this relationship helps Oprah look normal, when in fact she is a lesbian. She hasn't publicly admitted it. In fact, she has denied all rumors that she is gay. However, some speculate that Oprah paid Tim Watts, her ex-boyfriend, a staggering $50,000 to keep his mouth shut about her lesbian affairs. Many people don't know this, but Jeffrey Lee, Oprah's biological half-brother, died of AIDS when he was just 29 years old. She was very supportive of him when he was diagnosed. But back then, there was still a significant amount of stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease and homosexuality in general. Well, it turns out that there is more where that came from. Here's another family secret that hit the headlines a while back. Number 9. Oprah's father was accused of sexual offense. Most people knew Vernon Winfrey as a kind and humble man. He served his community well. He had a big heart filled with humility, gratitude, and graciousness.
Oprah Winfrey's father, who was a former Metro Council member and business owner in East Nashville, died last night after a battle with cancer.
But a 28-year-old college student had something else to say. He claimed that Vernon, a barbershop owner and former city councilman, exposed himself in front of her and forced her to perform sexual acts on him. Vernon did appear in court back in 1995 to answer these allegations. The student, who was not identified by police, allegedly went to the barbershop to ask for help for some cash so that she could pay the scholarship, but in return, she would have to give him oral sex. What do you think? Is this another hater, or is there some truth to it? The drama doesn't end here. Vernon's ex-wife found a sex tape of him with a prostitute. Barbara claimed Vernon had been cheating on her for years with prostitutes and crack addicts. Then a bitter divorce followed. Barbara accused Oprah of trying to cheat her out of money. She said Oprah is vindictive and petty and left her virtually homeless, even though she and her father were married for 14 years. Here are some of Barbara's most shocking claims yet. He said his daughter told him that she would cut his trust money off if he did not divorce me. What she has done is nothing short of evil, but she doesn't scare me. Many people felt sorry for this woman. They suspect that her version of the story is very close to what happened, or she could be out here selling a story to get a payout and more attention. To be honest, there is a difference between walking away from a 14-year marriage at 66 years old with nothing and feeling bitter about it versus trying to get compensation for life because she was Oprah's stepmother. Plus, the legal battle drained her funds. So many people believe that it is vindictive to evict someone from their marital home after they've lived there for so long, especially if that person is not financially stable to take care of themselves. Does Oprah have to support this woman financially? Absolutely not. But given the fact that she has cared for her father for so long and doesn't have a huge earning potential, which is true for many women who've gone through a divorce, there must have been a better way to handle things. Well, one thing is for sure, you don't cross Oprah. A spokeswoman for Oprah said Barbara was given the chance to stay at the couple's Nashville property, but she didn't like it and immediately refused it. Later, she was offered to sell the Williamson County property and divide the earnings evenly, but Barbara also rejected that offer. Oprah's parents are not the only ones who have a bunch of secrets. It seems, number 10, something strange is going on with Oprah's school for girls. One day, Oprah was sitting with Nelson Mandela in his living room. She told him she wanted to give him $10 million to build a school for girls who couldn't make it in the world. Mandela was over the moon. He immediately called the Ministry of Education. A couple of years and $40 million later, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls became a reality. Since then, the school has been plagued with many controversies. Many people complain that the school was unnecessarily luxurious. In a country that was plagued with serious poverty, she could have used the same amount of money to open up 20 different schools and educate more girls. Do these students even need 2 theaters? 1 outdoor and 1 indoor? A beauty salon? A yoga classroom? And high thread count sheets for the dormitory beds? Here is what Oprah had to say about that. If you are surrounded by beautiful things and wonderful teachers who inspire you, that beauty brings out the beauty in you. She also added, I think the reason not just Africa but the world is in the state that it is because of a lack of leadership on all levels of government, and particularly in regard to schools and schooling for poor children. The best way to affect change long term is to give children exposure and opportunity and nurture them to understand their own power and possibility. People also criticize Oprah for accepting only black students. White girls were not allowed, no matter how poor they might have been. Oprah deflected the criticism by saying that everyone from a disadvantaged background is welcome to her school, including Native Americans, Indians, and white students if their eligibility was met. But this is when things took a turn for the worse. Oprah opened the school back in 2007. Not long after that, the matron was charged with abusing the girls, physically and sexually. Oprah traveled there in person and immediately had her fired. The former headmistress threatened to sue Oprah for defamation, and Oprah settled with her out of court.
Dormitory matron charged with abusing 6 students at Oprah Winfrey School for Girls in South Africa is resuming. Prosecutors say former dorm matron Tina Virginia Makopo tried to kiss and fondle the girls. She's also accused of kicking and hitting some of them. Makopo pleaded innocent to 14 charges of indecent assault, and criminal injury in South Africa.
There were other incidents in 2009 when 7 students were suspended for sexually harassing their classmates. It was a huge sex scandal. A 15-year-old forced her victims to deceive investigators about the incident. Others were accused of trying to lure classmates into lesbian encounters. The girls were suspended, but everything else was kept from the public eye. According to Lisa Halliday, a spokesperson for Oprah, the suspension was the right thing to do. It is because they contravened the school's code of conduct. We regard the incident as confidential. Then the school was hit by another scandal, but this one was truly heartbreaking. In 2011, a dead baby was found in a bag of one of the students. Police investigated the case and found that a 17-year-old girl gave birth at the school. The girl, who was studying there, was taken to the nearest hospital where she received proper treatment. No charges were pressed, but there was no word whether the newborn died of natural causes or was murdered. Some reports say that the girl tried to hide the baby and her bloody clothes after she gave birth, so she put them in a plastic bag. The police ordered an autopsy to determine the cause of death. Meanwhile, representatives at the academy refused to comment on the case. Now, there are new rumors that allegedly girls are disappearing from the school. Although there are no actual news reports of it happening, sites like Twitter and TikTok are getting flooded with posts stating that plenty of girls have already gone missing. And so, we've come to the end of today's video. As you can see, there are plenty of dark secrets that Oprah doesn't want you to know. She speaks out against sexual assault and abuse, and yet she was on good terms with people like Weinstein and Epstein. She would lecture her viewers not to be materialistic and inspire them to read books about how to try to find inner peace. Yet she built a luxurious school instead of investing that money in more schools and educating a lot more children. She is revered in every aspect of her business and philanthropy, yet she promoted questionable experts over the years and gave them platforms to build a huge influence. There are definitely times when Oprah has helped countless people, but when you become a media giant, you also have the privilege to make sure that people only hear and favor your side of the story. It becomes easy to paint the perfect picture of yourself and maintain that image. But no one can keep things under wraps forever. Are there any secrets we might have missed? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.